The whole credit system is an emperor's new clothes trick where we are fooled into thinking that no money credit in the form of digital ones and zeros is money. The whole illusion is based on the fact that we accept that the phony money banks make up by debt binding everything and everyone really exists and that we can withdraw them as cash whenever we want. To make us keep the money in the bank's fantasy world in the form of credits, we need to be tricked into believing that the money is growing. The interest deceives us to believe that our real money grows if we just don't check the bluff by withdrawing our money cash from the banks. Similarly, the stock exchange works as a container where the bank's ever-increasing phony money injections give the illusion that money grows when in reality the only thing growing is the bank's amount of credit. By keeping money in the stock market and wait for them to grow, no one checks if the real money cash really is there on the banks. Because, in fact, banks only have a fig leaf and they are next to completely naked. As we have seen, is cash part of the bank's reserves and provide the basis for how much banks can create phony money, also known as credit, by indebting everything and everyone. This is how the illusion preventing us from taking out our cash works. The small triangle represent the bank's money in cash and the blue part is phony money, credit, that's created on the basis of the cash. The box at the bottom represent the public's holdings of banknotes and coins, i.e. cash. Cash flows out from banks when people make withdrawals and into the bank when people makes deposits. When a deposit is made, the bank is able to increase their lending. Note the Orwellian language, the banks offers nothing. They have created these credits from nothing, so they give nothing but require a pawn or work in exchange for this nothing, not a bad deal. So for the banks it is of key importance to make people not check the Ponzi scheme by withdrawing the real money cash. The banks does so by ensuring that people pay by credit card, through the internet etc. by simply digitizing the money so that more and more transactions are made without cash. The banks also create bubbles, so people don't withdraw their money and check the fraud. Stock exchange is one example, as I have already explained. Real estate bubble is another example of so-called asset bubbles. By giving credit for housing, cash is sucked into the banks. The real estate buyer is required to make down payment, and as debt slaves they will be bound to provide banks monthly their cash that they worked hard to get. So real estate bubbles suck up the public's cash. But the reverse is also true. When people withdraw their cash, banks must reduce their credit to the same extent if they can't replace the missing cash. When a real estate bubble bursts, the reverse occurs: the cash is running out and pyramid scheme breaks down. Cash is king, as they say these days. It means that banks' nudity becomes obvious when only a small number of people checks the Ponzi scheme. It results in a credit crunch since the banks create much more phony money credit than they are able to pay out in cash. A Latvian stand-up comedian was put into prison recently when he encouraged the audience to go out and withdraw their cash from the ATMs. That shows how sensitive the system is. Very few people can cause a bank run and make the banks run dry. So it is important for banks to replace one bubble with another so that the fraud is not detected and the fig leaf cash falls off. Gold has always been controlled by the same bankers doing the credit fraud Ponzi scheme described above. They control the mines, the supply and demand, etc. By getting people to go into a gold bubble, they hope people will refrain from withdraw their cash, buying gold instead using the bank's credit. So gold is only a way to keep the pyramid scheme up a bit longer with a new bubble, because if people not get convinced that money, or more accurately credit, can grow, people would use cash instead, and the pyramid scheme would fall.